11 years ago, Germany did something so insane, so brutal, that football fans still talk about it like it was a horror movie. 7-1. That number became a meme, a scar, a warning. And today, at the 2026 World Cup, Germany looked at that number and said, "Let's do it again." But here's the part nobody's talking about. For 20 minutes, this match was going perfectly for the underdogs. And then everything fell apart in the most savage way possible. Let's break down exactly how this happened, minute by minute. Group E, World Cup 2026, Houston, Texas. On one side, Germany, massive favorites, stacked roster, a new manager trying to prove himself on the biggest stage. On the other side, Curacao. Now, if you don't know who Curacao is, that's kind of the point. This tiny Caribbean island just became the smallest country, by population, to ever qualify for a World Cup, ever, in the history of the sport. This was supposed to be their dream debut, their moment. Instead, it became a nightmare that broke records nobody even knew existed. The whistle blows, and Germany doesn't wait. 6 minutes in, Felix Nemeka links up with Florian Wirtz right at the edge of the box. A quick 1-2, Nemeka takes a touch and curls it perfectly into the bottom corner. 1-0. And get this, that goal was officially the fastest goal of the entire 2026 World Cup so far. At this point, everyone's thinking the same thing. Here we go again. Germany's about to do something historic, and Curacao is just here to make up the numbers. But then, something happened that nobody saw coming. Minute 21. Curacao, the smallest team in World Cup history, wins the ball back in a chaotic transition. Germany's defense is caught completely off guard. The ball gets worked to Livano Comenencia. He strikes it with his left foot. It takes a massive deflection, and it loops past a diving Manuel Neuer. Goal. 1-1. I cannot stress this enough. The underdog stands erupt. Players are sprinting, screaming, crying. This is the moment. This is the fairy tale. The smallest nation in World Cup history just equalized against Germany. For about 15 minutes, this felt like it could be one of the greatest upsets in football history. It wasn't. Germany doesn't panic, they adjust. Minute 38, a corner comes in. Nathaniel Brown, a debutant left-back playing his first World Cup match, delivers a perfect ball. Nico Schlotterbeck rises above everyone and powers a header into the net. 2-1. Germany's lead is back. Then, right before halftime, minute 45 plus 5, Felix Nemeka drives into the box and draws a clumsy foul. Penalty. Kai Havertz steps up, cool as ice, sends the keeper the wrong way. 3-1. Halftime whistle blows. Curaçao's players walk off the pitch, and you can already see it on their faces. They know what's coming. Now, this is where it gets brutal. The second half starts, and within 69 seconds, barely over a minute, Joshua Kimmich slices a pass through the defense. Jamal Musiala receives it at an impossible angle, and somehow squeezes the ball into the net. 4-1. Minute 68. Nathaniel Brown, remember him, the debutant left-back, gets on the end of a flowing passing move started by Deniz Undav. He smashes a volley out of mid-air into the corner. 5-1. On his World Cup debut. Minute 78. Kimmich, again. He cuts the defense open and squares it across the goal for substitute Deniz Undav, who taps it in. 6-1. Also on his debut. At this point, Curaçao isn't even trying to attack anymore. They're just trying to survive. But Germany wasn't done. Minute 88. Germany forces a turnover with their high press. Deniz Undav slips a perfect pass through to a sprinting Kai Havertz. Havertz turns on the Jets, beats the last defender, and smashes it past a completely helpless goalkeeper. 7-1. That's it. That's the final score. The exact same scoreline as Germany's legendary 2014 demolition of Brazil. 11 years later. Same number, different opponent. Same devastation. But here's where this match goes from crazy result to literally rewriting the history books. Because two separate World Cup records were broken, and neither one had anything to do with the score. Record number 1, the manager matchup. Curaçao's manager is Dick Advocat. He is 78 years old. That makes him the oldest manager to ever coach in a World Cup match. And standing across from him on the touchline, Germany's manager, Julian Nagelsmann, just 38 years old, the youngest manager at this entire tournament. A 4-0-year age gap between two managers in the same match. That has never happened before in World Cup history. Record number 2, and this one's wild. Manuel Neuer, Germany's legendary goalkeeper, came out of international retirement to play in this World Cup at 40 years old. By playing in this match, he became the oldest player to ever represent Germany at a major tournament, breaking a record that had stood since Euro 2000, over 25 years. So just to recap what we just witnessed, a 7-1 scoreline matching one of the most iconic results in football history. The smallest country to ever qualify for a World Cup, a near fairy tale equalizer that got crushed, a 4-0-year age gap between managers, and a 4-0-year-old legend breaking a 2-5-year-old record. All in one match. So what happens now? Germany moves on to face Ivory Coast in Toronto, sitting comfortably at the top of Group E. But for Curaçao, it's already do or die. Their next match is against Ecuador on June 20th, and they need a result, or their World Cup dream could be over before it really began. Will the smallest nation in World Cup history pull off another miracle? Or was that 21st minute equalizer the closest they'll ever get? I'll be covering it either way, so make sure you're subscribed, because this World Cup is already one for the history books, and we're only getting started. See you in the next one.